Is forgiveness necessary for good mental health? What role does forgiveness play in social cohesion? Is forgiveness compatible with the desire for justice? And if so, why should we desire it? All of that and more in today's video. Is forgiveness really that important? Unfortunately, feelings of betrayal, abandonment, disappointment, and resentment are universal to the human condition. As much as we humans try to live our best lives, every one of us will be wronged by others over the course of our lifetimes, and we ourselves will unfortunately hurt others as well. We are often told that forgiveness is the noble, virtuous reaction to such feelings of pain. But is forgiveness truly necessary or advantageous? Even those of us predisposed to answer yes have probably experienced times when we've wished we could hold on to anger. It can be difficult to forgive when it feels like doing so diminishes our pain, lets someone off the hook, or rationalizes injustice. Forgiveness can feel like surrender, weakness, or invalidation. We might even experience a certain amount of pleasure from hating someone who has wronged us, because it feels like we're standing up for ourselves and fighting the injustice we've suffered at the hands of another. If anybody watching this video is struggling with feelings of resentment, anger, or hatred, I want to emphasize that your experiences matter and your feelings are valid. Justice matters, and so too does recognition of the trauma that you've experienced. When we find ourselves wounded, it is important to take the steps necessary to heal, and acknowledgement of the wound, whatever that may be in your case, is the first step to recovery. That said, if the goal is healing, it is necessary to examine which path leads most effectively towards true recovery. What does modern psychology have to say about this topic? According to Robert Enright, the author of Forgiveness Therapy, one of the single most important tools for overcoming past trauma is forgiveness. Why would that be? Isn't forgiveness an invalidation of one's suffering? Not so. According to Enright, forgiveness is a conscious choice to liberate oneself from feelings of resentment or thoughts of revenge. While it's easy to focus on how forgiveness might impact the party that has harmed us, Enright focuses on the impact it has on our own mental state. Forgiveness, he writes, unburdens oneself of harmful fixations on past harms that prevent us from moving forward. In other words, to heal from trauma, we have to eventually move past it, which means letting go of our attachment to it. As Enright notes, empirical evidence shows that forgiveness, rather than persistent anger, produces the most positive psychological outcomes, most notably an alleviation of depression, anxiety, and stress. While important for the healing process, Enright makes no pretension that forgiveness is easy. Contrary to being an immediate occurrence, forgiveness is a process that occurs in steps. Acknowledging the hurt, choosing to forgive, actively working to put our choice into practice, and then, finally, experiencing the inner peace and self-compassion that comes with forgiveness. Why, though, would forgiveness produce better outcomes than anger? Perhaps here we can find answers in philosophy. According to an old Buddhist proverb, holding on to anger is like trying to hurt somebody by drinking poison. While anger may feel vindicating, it ultimately causes more harm to us than the person we are directing anger against. This wisdom is validated by modern empirical data, which has shown that holding on to anger for extended periods of time has negative consequences for both physical and mental health. If anger is bad for us, though, why do we experience it? Well, not all anger is bad. Anger exists for a purpose and is good when expressed correctly within moderation. According to the medieval philosopher Thomas Aquinas, anger is an emotion that drives us to want to correct an injustice. This drive, in itself, is good, but it can become dangerous when its expression becomes inordinate, or the desires it evokes are unjust themselves. Ultimately, anger is good in as much as it pushes us to effect positive change in our surroundings. But when anger isn't capable of driving us to that end, we should replace anger with a firm resolve of the will. To quote the Bible, which was a major source of inspiration for Aquinas, "Be angry but do not sin. Do not let the sun set on your anger." So, anger is good in moderation, but we shouldn't hold on to it, and we shouldn't let it consume us such that we seek injustice. That's all well and good, but how exactly do we control our anger? According to the ancient Greek Stoic philosopher Epictetus, we can cultivate a more peaceful interior state of mind by reframing our perspective. What exactly does that mean in practice? Well, according to Robert Enright, who was referenced earlier in this video, we can alter our perspective by focusing less on the wrong committed and more on the humanity of the wrongdoer. Why would we want to do that? Well, there are a number of reasons. First, it's conducive to our own well-being when we approach the world from a realist perspective. According to the Roman philosopher Marcus Aurelius, who very notably was also the Emperor of Rome, it is inevitable that we will commingle with wrongdoers. There will always be people who harm us, and while we can't control the behavior of other people, and we can't entirely free ourselves from the company of those we don't like, we do have a certain amount of control over our interior disposition. When we allow others to rob us of our inner peace, we give them more control over us and increase the harm they've inflicted upon us. Since a certain amount of conflict in life is inevitable, it is helpful for our own well-being to adjust our expectations. While justice is important and we should maintain healthy boundaries to ensure our own well-being, we should also expect that people around us will sometimes hurt us or fail us in some way, and should thus weigh our concerns accordingly. What wrongs committed are truly grievous boundary breakers, and which would benefit everyone from working past? Second, forgiveness is also essential for the common good and social well-being. As the early medieval philosopher Augustine points out, resentment leads to fractious division in community life which, if left unchecked, results in cycles of hatred, revenge, and abuse that extend far beyond the original involved parties. Marcus Aurelius seconds this perspective, pointing out that the common good can't remain intact when the world is consumed by hatred. Unfortunately, empirical evidence also supports this notion. It is a long-established fact that abuse and revenge can create long cycles of chaos and ruin that impact families, communities, nations, or even the world at large. I'll close with a reflection about a poignant moment in the film titled Karol, the Man Who Became Pope, wherein Karol Wojtyła, the future Pope John Paul II, is hiding in a small Polish home during World War II because German soldiers are marching outside with weapons. Karol is horrified by the atrocities he has seen the Germans commit and is tempted to respond with violent rage, but a wise man tells him, "Only love can truly drive out hate, for if love does not win, the Nazis will just come back under another name." Karol initially doubts this message, asking how he could say such a thing when soldiers are marching with tanks and rifles outside. But later in life, decades after the defeat of the Axis powers, and during the communist occupation of Poland, shortly after the violent repression of a Solidarity Workers' March, Karol Wojtyła instructs his students not to fight against oppressors with guns, but rather to heroically fight with peaceful demonstrations, attesting to a human dignity the oppressor would rather erase. He remarks that students will not be able to face down tanks with rifles, but if they refuse to stop witnessing to human dignity non-violently, even to the point of death, then eventually the communists will be overcome, and only then can they be replaced by something better. I often think of this quote, as it shows that when we fight evil with evil, when we fight harm with revenge, we just create an endless cycle of more and more pain. Only healing can end the cycle and bring about a better world, and this happens through peaceful resistance to injustice and forgiveness. It happens through emphasizing the inviolable dignity of all men. So, what do you think? Is forgiveness necessary? Is it good to forgive? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you can be notified when new videos are released. Also be sure to like this video so that YouTube recommends it to others. If you'd like to support this channel for as little as $1 a month, you can also become a supporter on Patreon. Links in the description of this video. While the journey of forgiveness is challenging, it empowers us to move forward with compassion and understanding. Let's continue to navigate these complexities together. Be gentle with yourself, seek healing, and foster connection in all your relationships. Peace be with you. This has been The Philosopher.